Basically, what I wanted to do next was talk about what this new process is. I've been alluding to it and talking about stories and things like that, but I haven't really presented exactly what that looks like. So I wanted to dig in with that a little bit. And so when we go back to our mission statement, that's really where it starts, with that idea of what we're trying to accomplish. And for most of us here, it was about documenting stories and documenting memories. Sometimes we said with photos, sometimes we said with other elements as well, either for ourselves, for our legacies, whatever that might be. But nowhere in our mission statements, I didn't hear anybody say, spend 5 hours on a page and make sure I use at least 42 brads. Or, $20 a product per page, or, anything like that. So when you start going in that direction, it's really natural to, because when you go online and see the pages in the galleries, a lot of the eye-catching ones are done with a lot of product or with a lot of technique, and we can start feeling less than. So I just want to remind you of that mission statement, how important it is to remind yourself of why you're doing it. It's not to create those 472 pages in a year. It's not to use up all your stash of ribbon before, June so you can buy more or whatever it is. Those might come in secondarily, because sometimes I'll do prompts and challenges like that, and they can be fun. But what it really comes down to is those memories and the story. So keep your mission statements handy. And then also, I just wanted to make sure you guys have permission. Everybody here, everybody at home, if you've got a wall full of albums that you've done chronologically, birthdays, anniversaries, all event-based, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, Lain, what am I going to do with that? Because I've been doing it wrong all these years. Forget it. I've got those albums too, and they're precious. Just like we were talking about the sticker sneeze and the scalloped scissors, and that's all part of your journey as a scrapbooker, and that is a gift to yourself and to your family, whether or not you decide to change your direction as a scrapbooker, or whether you decide to go in that manner from here on out, totally okay. And also, I'm so thankful that you're here listening to me. When you go home, you may find that parts of this don't work for you, that you think, you know what, the whole scrapbooking with no photo, that doesn't really work for me. That's okay too. It's your scrapbook. You're the one who's going to live with it. I'm not going to come to your house and check. I promise. Ring the doorbell and do a home check, unless you want me to. Like the Avon calling, Lain calling. What are you scrapbooking? It's up to you. You're the one. You're the boss of your own scrapbooking. So make sure you know you have full permission to take this and adapt it and go in a different direction, go beyond whatever you want to do. You really are in charge of that. So we talked about the traditional process with the photos first, moving on to product and design, and then story really coming last, because journaling, oh, do I have room? And sometimes you're like, darn, no room on the page to journal. Guess that one doesn't need anything. Have you ever done that? I see Jay nodding over there. Guess I don't have to journal on this one. But we talked more about how this limits us, because what about the stories that don't have photos? What about the stories that don't come immediately to mind? Because I look at it and I can't remember what was this about, but it may come to me later. I might need to get input from somebody else to get at a story of why I took that photo, or what was she thinking when she had that weird look on her face, that kind of thing. What about photos with more than one story? Because one of the traditional rules is that you only scrapbook a photo once, that you would never go back and use the same photo again. But we're gonna do that too. Haha. We're breaking all the rules. What about bad photos? It's also kind of an unwritten rule that your photos should really be awesome, and you should edit them and put in filters and all this stuff. And if it's slightly blurry, you shouldn't be using it. But that's not necessarily in service of our mission statement as scrapbookers. If the only photo you have is of your little tiny child on the big stage, and it's slightly blurry, use the photo. I mean, to think that I can't scrapbook it because the photo's bad, no, not true. Also, there are the hidden stories that we talked about, things we're thinking or feeling that you can't take a photo of, or that might be difficult to photograph. And if we go with a photo-centric process to scrapbooking, we lose all that. But if we start with story, we really can move on into deeper elements of our storytelling, that we go beyond the idea that that we're limited to the photos, that if we can't see it, we can't scrapbook it. And it brings a whole new element to what we're doing.